on my show is Barry McGuigan. Hello, Barry McGuigan.
How are you, Connor?
Are you well?
I couldn't be better. I'm 100%.
Is it hard to make the transfer from being a fighter to being a coach and manager and sort of semi-promoter as well?
Well, it is. I mean, I am a promoter. I'm officially a promoter, a manager, and I have both a manager and a promoter's license.
Well, listen, I was doing a boxing night about a month ago there, right? It was a fundraising boxing night, and I compared it, right? I was the boy in the middle with the dicky bow on the microphone.
Okay. Oh, so when you said you'd done it, I thought you actually took part, Connor. I'm very disappointed. I thought you would actually have gone into the ring and took a few punches.
But that was the thing I was going to say to you. Are you mad in the head? But what I was going to say to you is, when I was sitting off it, right, and I was kind of throwing the punches for them outside the ring.
Yeah.
Do you do that at the minute?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, for the first couple of years as a commentator, I actually got butterflies in my tummy, was doing all the moves, slipping punches, and sort of live your life vicariously and all the emotions through him. So it's pretty typical, pretty normal.
Well, I can tell you that's the first time the word vicariously has ever been used on my show. Well done, congratulations, Barry. Good evening. I wonder, can you help me? My name is Connor Phillips, and I'm calling you from a radio station in Belfast. Maybe you've heard of me. The reason I'm calling you this evening is because a couple of moments ago I lost a challenge to the listeners. And as part of my forfeit, my challenge was to ring the football club that I hate most in the world and obviously tell them how great they are. First of all, who am I speaking to? Are you having a good night? Okay, are we ready to go, Christine? I can now officially tell you that Everton Football Club are the greatest football club of all time ever. Oh, that hurts me. It pains me. It pains me. Sure, while I'm on the phone here, sure, I might as well ask you while I'm here. Any chance I can get a game for you next year, no? Kenny Dalglish, you're very welcome. First of all, you're here to open the new store. Why is there an international appeal to Liverpool Football Club? What? Can you pin it down?
Well, if you've been about the club, you actually know what it stands for, and I think the success that it's had over many years has attracted the support that they have, because it's hereditary, because it's traditional, and because it's a fantastic football club as well. Now,
one of the big things that people are going to be talking about today, the Kenny Dalglish book, My Liverpool Home. What was the process like writing that? Did you have to hook out old stories, or did it sort of...
I made the contribution. Henry Winter wrote it, so you do have to get your mind back in gear and maybe check up one or two things, but if you're not unsure, you just ask someone else, usually Big Hanson, and just take it from there.
Is there stuff in the book that we wouldn't expect?
I don't know what you would expect.
That's a good point.
I don't know what your expectations are.
Well, obviously you're about the place at the moment. Is there a really good buzz about the place?
There is. Throughout the whole club there seems to be a happy environment, and as I say, there's a lot of issues that's been resolved. John Henry's people have come in, and it's really it's calmed an awful lot of problems down and taken a lot away.
What about going forward? Is there anything that anything you haven't done with the club that you'd like to do?
I wouldn't mind getting another game in the first team. I think that might be beyond it. No, I've not looked too far forward in it. I just covered the time that I've been there, but I hope there's a few happy stories to tell, and maybe at some stage there might be another book to come out and with all the happy stories in it from now onward.
I'm proud to welcome to Cool FM Mr. Pat Jennings. Pat, you're very welcome indeed.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
This week in particular, I think in every football phone-in show on the planet that I've been listening to, your name has been mentioned, because William Gallas has made the move from Arsenal to Spurs, and it was something that was a massive issue in the 60s and 70s.
I mean we're a totally different situation. I mean, my contract was up with Tottenham weren't renewing my contract. They thought I was on the way out at 32. I've gone over the road, signed a 4-year contract, got a big rise in wages without having kicked the ball for Arsenal. Had to go back and produce the goods again, week in, week out. So, I mean, that's the same situation with Gallas. If he comes to Tottenham and is a good player, he comes with a great reputation with the clubs that he's played for.
David Coulthard.
Clouds parted as the plane was coming over the water there, and I thought, yep, this will do nicely.
There's a question I wanted to ask you, right? Obviously, you retire and you say, look, that's it, I've done my Formula 1 thing and I'm going to relax and take it easy now. But you don't really. You're there. You're at every single race. What's the difference between doing what you're doing now and when you race? Do you get much more time to yourself?
Well, no, Not really. The big difference is actually that physically I don't sort of go through the same plan that I would if I was racing. You know, when you were driving, you make sure that you're eating and drinking all the right things. So on a trip like this, for instance, I wouldn't get to enjoy, a Guinness or something, but I will this trip. Being around the Grand Prix with the BBC is interesting because I grew up as a fan of the sport, and now I have the chance to sort of influence, the next generation.
Well, today, a big day in Croke Park. It is Scotland versus Ireland in the rugby. I might as well ask your opinion while you are here.
Well, Ireland are obviously very, very strong, so I think most people probably expect Ireland will have the victory. Obviously, Scotland come off the back of a draw with England, who aren't performing as strong as they have done in the past. So
you smiled when you said that. So did I, funny enough.
Yeah, no, of course we would have loved if we'd have been able to beat them, but we'll wait and see. Anything can happen in sport.
Former Munster and Ireland rugby captain Keith Wood. What's your feeling in the coming months and years for the Irish rugby and indeed the provincial rugby teams?
I think an awful lot of it. We've had a phenomenal period, the best period ever in Irish rugby. The guys have delivered time and time again. We've got top dog status and winning the Grand Slam a couple of years ago. We all then get hugely, disproportionately unhappy when we don't achieve back to back. We have managed to get an awful lot out of this team. I think there's a fair chunk of them coming to the end of their time, and that is the question: how do we replace them?
Is there that pool of players coming up? Is there that pool of players that you can see? There's
a clutch of young guys that are coming through that have great quality. What I would always say, and what I've always been a fan of, is when you try and break into the Irish team, which would say ahead of the provincial team, and it's about the same time, you need to be 20 or 21.
Your prediction for the provincial sides in European competition this year?
I think Ulster have the easiest route out of it. The English team that went to the World Cup in 2003 were all over the hill and won the trophy at the end of it, so I'll hold out hope on that one.
Ian Rush. I read in The Guardian on Monday that you'd officially pulled out of the race to become the next Wales manager. I see there's some big names being linked to the post at the moment, like Lars Lagerbäck, who used to be the Sweden and Nigeria manager. Who would you like to see get the post now that you've pulled out?
No, I don't know really. I think they'll most probably know next week or so. So really don't know. I think what they'll do really is the committee then will sit down and look at all the applications in and everything, and they'll interview who they think is right. So
who do you think would be right? What maybe not a name, but the type of manager you think?
I think it's experience, and everything. It depends on what's available, because sometimes you find that people going for these jobs are people who are out of a job. I think it's not just the manager, it's the team they have round them as that to prove to be successful. Liverpool had that in the boot room, and that's what you look at, and whoever they are, I think they have to have the right team around them.